Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sonic Comic Chaos. I'm your host, Silver1, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Ian Waffles. Ian, say hi.
Hello.
Now, those of you who have kept up with the show have probably heard about the way we're going about pre-boot, but those of you who haven't or are just jumping in now might be a little confused as to why we're doing this as opposed to the arc after home. And that's because in order to properly appreciate pre-boot, we wanted to cover some older stories as well as the stories that go on from when Sonic returns from space. So today we are going to be covering the first 4 issues of the Sonic the Hedgehog comic, of the main book, not the miniseries. Maybe we'll go back and do that one day, I don't know. And also Endgame.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
However,
also, to be clear, I have read all of this stuff. I'm very familiar with it. So, like, I know, like, all the in-betweens and stuff like that. Not Coffee. That's a different guy I know. Silver Ace is more Cliff Notes versions of like, kind of knowing all the Archie stuff. So we're trying to just, like, feed him little bits and pieces of big moments, basically.
yes. I guess Knuckles is looking for a sword, I guess. That was the thing. And he has an ant
Indeed.
friend. That's cool. But before we do any of that, we should return to our famous segment. Ian and Ace, read your comments. I got a couple pulled up here from Emery Kennedy on the podcast we just released on the kind of reboot wrap up. I don't think it was good story wise. Design wise, yes. Ian completely disrespected the Sonally fans despite him saying he would be neutral. He had Sonic hit on Amy and turned Sally into a lesbian with Nicole, and he dragged out the arc of Sonic Unleashed. And I wanted to bring this one up because I think it's an interesting point of discussion, which is, first of all, did Sonic hit on Amy? I feel like he teased Amy, but I don't think they ever implied he had any real interest in her.
I mean, there's like the little moments of like when they're in the train and he kind of like does like a little like dip and he's like, well, my lady, you heard Sally, let's get out of here. And he basically like gets her to like hit the robot. But that's mostly to me just like kind of, I guess, if you want to say like playful flirting, I guess, if you want to say, which I don't care. Whoever.
Yeah. Well, the thing I think is interesting about this is that it's like, on the one hand, I can understand if you are really invested in a relationship, preferring neutrality than seeing those characters with other people. But I think genuinely, I would rather him do interesting stuff with other ships than the ones I prefer than just do nothing. Because,
yeah,
like, I wanted interesting stuff with Sally and Nicole, and you know what we got? Nothing.
Nothing. So yeah.
So, because like, again, I guess in his brain he wrote Sally. When he was writing Sally and Nicole, he was writing them as gay and in love or whatever. But I certainly didn't get that impression. So yeah, basically, like, I think, it's like I don't care that much about the shipping stuff as long as we get a good story. And I feel like we could have gotten a better story if he had tried to explore other couples.
I also just don't tend to care about like the creator said this and it turned out this way. Whatever. Like if Flynn really said somewhere like, oh man, I'm gonna try to be neutral, and then he didn't. Well, if he made a good story out of it, like, I don't care. So to me, like, the problem is less of like, oh, he said it's somewhere that he wouldn't do that and went back on it. What a liar. My problem would just be like, oh, well, he didn't make anything interesting with it. So yeah, whatever.
That's the bigger issue to me.
I tend to not care about creators' motives outside of just intrigue. It doesn't tend to affect my enjoyment of something. So
yeah, I feel like the only time a creator's motives come out to me personally is like when it's like obvious. Like there are a lot of comics where like you can tell that are like very agenda driven in one way or another. Like one of the more famous examples of this is One More Day from Spider-Man. Like something like that is where I look at it and go like, okay, I know what you're trying to do here, and it sucks. But other than that, yeah, I agree.
But I would assume the story just sucks on its own.
Oh
anyway,
yeah, no, the story's terrible, but
yeah,
it doesn't help.
from the heart of something like that came a bad story, rather than like I would assume like One More Day wasn't a beloved story, and then someone found out like, oh, actually I wrote it for cynical reasons.
Yeah, no. It's just bad. It's bad on its own, but yeah, that extra layer doesn't help. But
yeah, for sure.
And then from Snap they left a lengthy comment. I have read the whole thing.
I read the whole thing too.
Okay. They talk about the reboot as a whole and how it had some good moments, but ultimately it lacked in characterization. It tried to go for flash over substance, but sometimes even the flash was not particularly great. And they speculated a bit about how much Sega is actually holding the writers back versus, how much of it is maybe on the writers themselves. And I won't speculate on that because it's hard to tell. But one thing that I thought was particularly interesting, and I wanted to bring up because Ian, I feel like you would know better about this than I would, and I'll read this verbatim. The writing was on the wall when Ian said the comics were going to end up this way, penders or not, to become even more homogenized to match the games. I think, is that true? Has Ian?
Yeah, I've heard that too, where Flynn has said that Ken Penders didn't end the comic, but he definitely sped it up.
Yeah, well, because that's like, was he more so implying like with a comic with a brand this big, it's a miracle it even got this far?
No,
Like,
I think because I mean it's Sonic. Like Sonic.
No. But what I mean is, it's a miracle it got this far, like in this form that it was, like being so divorced from the games.
No. I think he legitimately was talking like, there were some signs that the comic was. I mean, we talked about this. Maybe not necessarily going to be canceled. Although I do think that was probably on the it very much seemed that because the reason Archie had Sonic and had all these Mega Man and stuff is because as a publishing company you want more things under your branch. But eventually they found like success with Riverdale, and they were really pushing that at the end of like Sonic's lifespan. So it really could be a case where like over time they were just kind of losing interest in having it. And two, as we talked about, as far as it becoming more homogenized, this is what I've always said, like, even if we were still in the pre-boot universe, eventually it probably really would have like degraded more and more, because as we even see in the reboot timeline, at the end of it, they split up the Freedom Fighters and they have Sonic just kind of be on his own thing, So it does seem like the comic was degrading in real time. Whether that meant that it was probably going to get canceled, I think I have heard Flynn mention that. But just as far as like where its direction would go leading into IDW, which is as bland as it is, I think that was inevitable. It maybe feels like.
Yeah, that was more so what I was referring to, is like this idea of like it was only going to be this like kind of out there for so long before it eventually did reel itself in.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, and then finally, from Fatal Waffle, is this like a relative of yours, or they say cool video? So that was I need it. Yeah. Alrighty, so let's okay. So let's get into Sonic the Hedgehog #1. It says you can tell it's the first issue because it says first issue right on the cover. So, Ian.
Yeah, what's up?
I'm okay. I understand that you have a soft spot for these older Archie Sonic comics. And I'm not going to sit here and say they're bad or anything. They are what they are. I think they know what they're going for, and I think they succeed at that relatively well. But holy fuck, this was a miserable experience.
How so?
Because I think reading any one of these stories, I would have been like, oh, whatever, that's cute or that's fine. But reading them back to back to back to back to back to back to back, broke my brain a little bit. Yeah, so like it's just every issue of like I'm gonna read you my notes for the first, because we're not going through this scene by scene. My brain would melt. So I'm just gonna read you my notes for issue 1. It sounds like it sounds like my brain is melting when I read this. Okay. The first image is Sonic being hung. Oh shit, Krudzu. This is the first issue. I've got the Ant-Man. Okay, Boomer. The table gag is pretty good. Sonic bumper stickers, huh? Yep, 4 issues of this. The Hit Me gag is good. Holy shit, check out this orb. Oh my god, it's still the first issue. Oh, please, no more. Sally dies 47 issues from now. That's my journey reading this, the first issue. So again, it's just like, it's very clearly not for me also. And I think, again, these were not meant to be binge read. These are meant to be read. I don't even think they're meant to be read all at once when they're in the same book. I think part of the reason they probably split the comic up into like, multiple stories as opposed to one 22-page one is because they figure kids are going to read one, put it down, go do whatever, and then come back and read another one. If I had to guess. So, yeah, no, just was not a fan. This was not fun for me or anyone involved. I mean, maybe for you, I don't know, but like, woof.
Yeah, so I really like early Archie, mostly just because I think it's so stupid, and I really like that. I love seeing all the different ways this comic just like wants to buy Sonic comics, and I think that's what's so fun about it is just like how just like it just goes all in with being a product to sell to you. But it does it in like this really charming way of just like having these like, here's a bumper sticker so you can put it on your family vehicle. Have you hugged your hedgehog today? Honk if you like Sonic. You know, you should be reading Sonic comics. Like it's just, and then like all the art's really cheesy and cute. Like Sonic's all bubbly looking. And I just also like the audacity of it. Like I love that the very first issue of the Sonic the Hedgehog comic is just that like nothing happens. Like as far as like these like weeds, like they're trying to figure out like what do they do with it, and Tails just waters them, kills them, and then Sonic's like, "Oh, well now we'll have to come up with this really elaborate way to like beat them." And they're like, "Ah, don't worry, Sonic." And then they just show that that it's just gonna rain today. It's like, well, Sonic doesn't do anything this story. Moving on, I'm like, man, from the very beginning, Sonic was in the main character, the
Yeah.
balls.
Yep.
but then the second story is like just Sonic being a madman, and he goes into this stupid like casino or whatever and fucking murders Robotnik. He gets put into this entire page that's just like a pinball table, and you can see like all the little details they put on it. And it's just goofy. Like I love this whole little part where he goes, "All right, B as in bomb, I as in inconspicuously placed, N as in 9 seconds to go, G as in get to a safe distance, and O as in oh boy, here it comes. That spells bingo." And then it says blammo, and he goes, "No, not bingo, blammo." I'm like, this is stupid. I like you. And that's basically my vibe for reading this comic is you're really stupid. I like you.
Yeah, here's the thing.
Basically it tastes like just like cereal, like just like sugary cereal. We're just like, what is happening? Like you have like the page where like Sonic is over there and he's like, oh man, what are they doing? Go back and go to Knothole's Tales, and he goes, but why, Sonic? And it goes, you get to choose the option, which is to let Princess Sally know about them because I said so, to allow the artist more room to draw.
Yeah. I mean, like, here's the thing. I think part of the problem is I read this like an hour after I read Endgame. So I think maybe my brain had just like, for one, reached peak Sonic, and two, just couldn't handle the whiplash of it. That's entirely possible. But yeah, no, man, again, I think my favorite part of it was like the one page, like little like just gags, like not like strips, but like Sonic in fast food, where he just like makes a chili dog recipe, and they go, "Hey, isn't this supposed to be funny?" And then Sally just throws a pie in his face. I was like, "Oh, that's fun."
Yeah, or like the one where they're like, we're gonna, Sonic stand here, and they take tin foil and they just ram it across Sonic's head. They're like, all right, Sonic, only like 100 more of these so we can sell foil covers. He's like, this is stupid. I hate this.
I appreciated that. Did Sonic ever do foil covers? A lot of comics did in the 90s.
No, I don't think so.
I don't recall.
I also do really like this joke of the because this is like really, this is like the horniest that classic Sonic and Sally ever get, which is that they steal pinups of each other.
Yes, I thought that was cute.
Like, so yeah, to me, like, and then followed right after that is literally like, hey kids, you sent in messages of where you think Tails got his tails. And they're just like stupid little things that kids would come up with. And the final one is like, all right, let's go to our next question. Dear Sonic, why are you always naked? Oops. And then it just ends. So to me, like, that's what's fun about it, is it's just like the constant variety of just stupidity going on. Or just like they'll be like, hey kids, pull out your Genesis right now, plug it in, play Starlight Carnival, and that'll help me get to the next page. Or you could just turn the page. It's like, what is happening?
Yeah. The bumper stickers I thought was interesting, because like, I remember when I would read like the collections of old Spider-Man stories, and I'd get to like Spider-Man pinups, and it's like, wait, do you want me to rip this out of my comic and then
it's
put
only
it on
12
my
cents, bro. It's not worth it.
Oh, I mean, of course, silly me.
That's the way they looked at it. They're like, what is this just comics,
oh yeah,
bro?
They're like, this is a newspaper, whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, they even have like an Eggman birthday card, which is pretty funny.
That was
and then I love the Tails story where he's like, I'm gonna go on my own adventure. And then he's like, I'm the Michael Jordan of the Freedom Fighters. And he's like, time to take out Eggman.
I thought that was something you made up, by the way.
No!
Like, that's in the comic.
Yeah, and then he decides he's gonna take out Eggman's base, and it's just finger puppets from SWAT bots. And then Sonic comes in, and they're like, "Ah, well, it's Sonic. Let's just kill ourselves." And they die.
Yeah, some of the humor gets dark in this too, which is something. Like the
Yeah.
second issue starts with
To me, that's what's fun about it. I just love how manic it is and how it's just always doing new things. And also it's just fun to think of like if you were a kid at the time and it's like, oh my gosh, a supersonic pinup, and it's like, oh, it actually looks pretty cool. Like that's neat.
yeah. Yeah, I mean that Supersonic pinup actually looks pretty cool. But like no, it's like the second issue begins with him murdering crab meat. Like,
Yeah, he'll come back.
he will, he does. I was confused. But yeah, no. But so okay, one thing that was genuinely shocking to me is that the first Archie Sonic story ever is the Crud Zoo,
Yep,
which
which is
becomes
the
a,
last thing in the comic too.
yeah, a
Or the second to
critical
last.
plot point later on.
Yeah, because Flynn brings everything back. I promise. It's crazy.
So that means all this shit is canon.
No, everything's canon. That's the whole point of the
But, well,
comic,
no.
and why that's why it's so crazy is that like everything in the story isn't just like it happened. It's like it comes back.
I mean, no, because like in one of the issues after Endgame, they go like, "Hey, remember how we said that like Sonic was a delivery boy, and then Robotnik just kind of walked up one day and took over the kingdom?" What we actually meant was, it's like Sad AM, shut up.
Uh-huh.
Or like in later on, and this is very nitpicky, but later on, Sonic will say like when he meets Scratchy Grounder again, like, "Oh, the last time I fought you, I was like 5," which clearly is not
Well,
meant to be the case here. But yeah, again, those are like nitpicky things.
that's
But
just retcons, which happens all the time. What I mean is that the comic will bend over backwards to make it that
oh yeah,
everything that happened has some like in-universe reason, even if like it
oh
changes.
sure,
So for example, like and here's like where Archie is, I think, fascinating is that in the gag era days, they just didn't care or like worry about it. And so what would happen is like, characters was like basically like, for example, Amy gets kidnapped because Dr. Robotnik steals mail from the US Postal Service that she was writing to Archie headquarters, and then uses that to track down Amy and dox her and then kidnap her. And that's how he gets her. But once the comic becomes more serious, they have a recap issue and they just say like, oh, he was stealing letters that she was like mailing to Sonic. And that's how like she knew where to go. And that's like all, and she got caught along the way. Or for example, like, obviously Tails probably didn't say I'm the Michael Jordan of the Freedom Fighters, because who's Michael Jordan? But he definitely had an adventure where he, got in over his head and blah, 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 blah. So like, that's part of the fun is like seeing the comics slowly reinterpret these things as it like solidifies. So the biggest one is that in the Knuckles comic, Sally mentions that the reason her hair color was yellow is because she fell into a vat of acid on one of her missions, which dyed her hair. And then the reason it's pink is because she used really bad shampoo and it didn't wash out for a while. So that's the canon reason that happens. Whereas in the characters, they just make a joke of that she was miscolored. So as the comic goes on, it tries to take everything that happens and give it some in-universe thing, which is really cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And also, if you want to get really nerdy about it, you could just say like, maybe a Genesis wave happened and move some stuff around. Yeah. What's
Well,
that
that's
cover?
why I like the line of I beat you guys when I was 8, because it makes it to where like, oh, these kind of goofier stories maybe aren't as reliable. Like they happened when Sonic was a kid,
Yeah.
And so things probably seemed a little sillier than they were. I mean, Vertical and Horizontal are in this story. And they will eventually be in a prison break arc with Scourge the Hedgehog. So
Yes, God, I fucking hated them.
So that's what's really cool is that just everything comes back, and so to me, like that's what makes the early stuff fun, is that I do just think it's pretty funny and I like the variety of it. I like the meta aspect of how it would have appealed to kids at the time and how it's just marketing. You literally have a cover where it says like, hey, we checked every comic on the rat and this is the one you want, which is great.
Yeah.
But then also the third layer is, oh wow, the Crud Zoo is in issue 1 and that comes back? What? Or like, holy shit, Vertical and Horizontal are from issue 2? What?
Yeah.
So to me, that's kind of the fun part. Is like, I just think it's fun, and then also the retrospective aspect.
Do they ever, when they start calling him Rotor, is that like a thing, or do they just start calling him Rotor and you just have to deal with it?
They recontextualize it later that Boomer was just a nickname.
Later, but like when they first make the switch, do they just do it?
Yeah, they just do it.
Okay, fair enough. I respect that.
I mean, that's what they do with Sally, where she just becomes the show Sally.
Is it Sonic Archive 0, the one where it's the cover that has all 3 of the Sallys on it?
Yeah.
I really like that cover.
Yeah, that cover is great. Also, is that just fun fact? Sally doesn't get her show design until 2 months before the show got canceled.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah,
So
well, because she doesn't get the
they just held off on it for forever.
well, because she doesn't get the vest until In Your Face, right?
Yeah.
So that's oh gosh, that's fun. Um, I will never not find it like amusing and kind of inspiring that when the show got canceled, they were like, "Well, we're fucked. I guess we should kill Robotnik." But then like the comic just kept going.
They're like, shit.
Yeah. All right. So my first note for issue 2, I will say, talking about this with you, I'm like, oh man, why did I not like this? But like, man, reading it was a tribulation. Let me tell you.
I mean, you did have to
yeah.
sit through Endgame, which is like mind numbing. So
We'll get to Endgame. Yeah, we already talked about him blowing up Krabby at the beginning, but the first story, or the first part of the first story, ends with them sending Robotnik's dismembered minion back to him in a box.
I know, it's great.
What
an asshole.
Right?
I also love Robotnik. He's on the phone with Scratch and Grounder, and he reaches through the panel to strangle him.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, and then we get Sonic collecting some rings, and he makes a horizontal and vertical. And at some point during this story, I wrote the note, "Please kill me." So that's fun. But and then we get a shot that, sorry, my dog's freaking out in the background. We get a shot up Sonic's nostrils that I hate more than I've ever hated anything. Do you know the shot I'm talking about?
Yeah, with the multicolored no.
Yeah, I hate it. Why? And then at the end of the story, they go vertical and horizontal are like, "Hey, do you want to see more of us? Write in." And I wrote in my notes, "No, I never want to see you ever again." But you know, we don't get what we want because they're in like the next issue, I think. Yeah, and then we get and so then, oh, and there's something I never realized, but Antoine's a coyote, but he doesn't have a tail. I didn't notice that because they say like, oh, maybe he stole Antoine's tail. Like, I never noticed that. That's neat.
Yeah.
I really don't want to be too negative about this because again, I understand this comic is what it is. It just was again a trial reading all of it at once. The first note I have for issue 3 is halfway there.
I really like that the name page is just a bunch of different types of bombs.
That's fun. I appreciate that. One thing I think is fun is that on they have a list of zones on their little monitor here. I also like that in these first stories they just hang out in a cave.
Yeah, and this becomes their clubhouse in the Flynn era because they have to like he tries to retroactively. I mean, they explain this in like a later issue, but it's like how because they're like, oh, we got to get to Knothole, and it's just like is Knothole just like some underground cave, and then like as they like go on, it becomes a town, and it's like okay, so what was the cave? It's like oh, that's just like a little place they would hang out in.
Yeah. Also, we get a line from Robotnik. I guess I've outlawed all religious freedom.
How dare you? Yeah,
it's really funny. But then it's at this moment where again I think the problem is my brain. I was in reading real comics brain mode, not reading comedy comics brain mode. So like the freedom fighters show up with like signs protesting, and like the note I wrote was, "What the fuck is happening?"
Yeah, and then it's just a projector.
It's a projector, and then who the fuck is James Cagney?
I don't know, but he'll be impressed.
Apparently. And then then that happens. And then we get to the meme, hey, what a ridiculous opinion. So that's fun. And then I thought this was gonna be Tommy Turtle, but it's not. It's just a turtle. Or maybe it's Tommy Turtle, I don't know. Fucking yeah, and then so then we see how Bunny was roboticized, and Bunny was apparently roboticized because Sonic forgot to untie his rope before he tried to go into action.
Yeah, which is really funny.
If I were Bunny, I would be pissed.
I mean, it's not his fault. He's dragging Rotor around because they're on a mission. He's like, oh shit, I gotta save someone. He just gets fucked over.
I guess, yeah. Also, Bunny has a lot of like. Does Bunny? Is this what kind of weird bunny caricature is this? That she's in a carrot field and like literally like leaking carrots as they throw her into the roboticizer.
I think the idea is she was picking them up or whatever, and she like dropped them as they like pick her up or whatever. I don't know, but it's very funny. I also love that she calls them Yankees.
That is fun. I gotta say, I appreciate how colorful the onomatopoeias are. Those are fun.
Yeah, I also just like that we do just get to see her getting roboticized because that didn't happen in the show.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, that's that.
And then she kicks ass. It's really fun. Yeah. She and I love the little page where she it has the robot and it's just like only a shot of it and it just goes sideways and then upside down and then like the payoff is like, oh, Bunny did it. So it's just kind of fun.
Yeah. So but then how fitting is it that we end with a supersonic boss fight?
Indeed.
So we get the universe salamander.
Yes, let's go.
A little salamander who gets roboticized and turned big. And they try to fight him, but they can't. So Sonic turns super wrong. He says like he says like, hey, pull out your Sega Genesis, and then gives out wrong information on how to do it, which I just found amusing.
Yeah.
Because he's like, oh, if I get 50 rings in the special zone, I transform. And it's like, no. But whatever. Who cares? And then he goes and he fights. And there's a fun gag where he runs back to Knothole. And they're like, hey, can I get the thing? And they're like, oh, yeah, it's over there. And they're like, wait, Sonic, you're here, but you were over there. Oh, no, he's so fast. Then he shrinks him and he wins. And then we get the panel, which will be referenced when Antoine gets blown into oblivion later.
Yeah, again, that's what I mean. It's like everything happened.
Yeah. So
he did in fact put a whoopee cushion under Antoine as Super Sonic.
Yeah.
And he really and when Antoine dies, he's like, man, I was a fucking asshole.
I don't think that's what it's meant to be. I think it's meant to be him like reflecting on good times. I don't think
no, it's not. It's not, because everything he remembers is him being mean to Antoine, and he goes, man, I can be a real jerk sometimes. Antoine deserved better.
Maybe you would know better than I would. I thought it was him remembering good times, but what else?
I remember all the good times bullying Antoine.
Well, you know, sometimes he deserves it, like when it's sad I am.
Indeed. He's not a bad guy. He's not a bad guy in Archie. He's just out of his league.
Oh no. Oh no. He's fun. But yeah, then we get
Bunny hairdresser also comes back, and it's very plot important, which is very funny.
Yes, you are correct. And then yeah, we get the Michael Jordan of Freedom Fighters story. And yeah. Oh, the page where horizontal and vertical show back up, my note just says, no more.
Go away.
So yeah, and then that's that. I mean, it is what it is. Like, it's not bad. Like, it's just like, fuck, man. Like, it's meant to be read in short bursts by children, and I am a grown man who was trying to read it in like a large go, which did not do me any favors.
No biggie.
But yeah, I mean, I think talking about it and just looking back on like the fun artwork, it's like, oh man, what was I complaining about? But anyway, anything else there? Can we move on to the main event?
Let's go to the main event.
Okay, so I actually read these directly out of my copies of Sonic the Hedgehog Archives, those being Sonic Archives 12 and Sonic Archives 13. Although Sonic Archives 12 starts with like a weird gorilla story, I didn't read that. So hopefully
you read it physically.
Yes.
Heck yeah, that's the only way to do it.
Yeah. Well, it was. We can't. Not really an option anymore.
Yep, it's only an option for me because I got lucky and I have them all.
Yep. But so, longtime listeners may recall that this story has been a bit of a point of contention on this show, because Ian claims that it's bad. However, when he would say that, I remember I read this for the first time when I was like 14.
Yeah, like a dumb stupid child.
Well, and I read this you know, it was like the first Sonic comic like story I read. Like I think I had read like I had like Sonic Select Volume 1 because I didn't realize Sonic Select was like its own weird thing. And I think I read like, you know, like maybe a loose issue or two, but this was the first like Sonic story that I read. And I was coming off of, you know, watching Saturday AM and really liking that. And I remember really liking it when I was younger. And then I want to say like 3-ish years ago, I went back and I reread it. Cause like, and before that reread, I would have said that Endgame was like one of my favorite Archie Sonic stories, like, you know, top 3. And then I did that reread like, you know, like I said, maybe about 3 years ago. And I remember it being like, well, you know, it's definitely not top 3 or top 5 or top 10, but you know, it's fine. Like it's good. And then we started doing the show, and Ian, you kept going on about, Endgame is not good. Endgame is very bad, in fact. And so going into this, it was like, all right, well, who's right? You know, am I blinded by nostalgia, or is Ian just a big grump? And I am happy to report that, as usual, I'm right.
Well. Let's see. Let's see you defend trash to my face and tell me it's gold.
Hey, I got you to turn around on Worlds Unite, so you never know.
All right, then let's jump into it.
Okay, so I originally I did read the Knuckles stuff because I was like, Knuckles shows up in this. This will be important, right? It's not. It's not important. It's not. So we're not going to talk about it. The first Knuckles story is that he meets some wizards, and then a horseman shows up, and he's like, well, the sword isn't here, but well. Literally one of my notes for the first Knuckles story of that volume, not the first Knuckles story in general, is what the fuck is happening. So that's the thing.
Indeed.
But that's not what we're here talking about. So let's move on to Sonic the Hedgehog number 46, Countdown to Armageddon. So Ian, would you like to tell the audience how this story opens?
This starts with a glorious page of the greatest Sonic character, Jeffrey St. John, fighting the worst Sonic character, Sonic the Hedgehog, as you know, Jeffrey asserts dominance over the plebe. So, you know, that's pretty cool.
Okay, yeah, no, the story, Ian, the story.
Oh,
How's the
story
start?
We see like Sonic's dad get roboticized, and that's pretty cool.
Okay, well, no, I think what's more important is, first of all, Chuck decided to show off his like projecting powers by showing him roboticizing his brother. And then Sonic's reaction to basically watching his father die is, that's way past cool, Unc.
Yeah, I like the idea that he just didn't tell him, and like it's kind of like when you haven't exited out of all your tabs on your phone, and then like you hand your phone to someone, and you're like, oh yeah, like that's just a thing I was on. So like Uncle Chuck's just like, I have these projector eyes, and then he's like, oh, let's pull out a CD or whatever, and it's just like Sonic's dad being turned into a robot in front of his eyes. He's like, yeah, that was the thing that happened. Don't ask any questions, please. Don't ask me to elaborate.
Well, no, he explains himself. He goes like, yeah, I made the roboticizer, and then Robotnik, he fucked with it, and so that became a chili dog guy.
I don't know if he says that was your dad, though.
Well, who else would it be? Look at him.
You know, maybe he is just his friend. Friend Hedgehog. Friend the Hedgehog.
Yeah, Sonic, ignore that. It just looks like you, but with blonde hair. It's fine. It's different guy.
Looks like you think he owns a mirror? He's poor as heck.
they have water. They have rivers.
True. That's true. Sonic doesn't like water.
Okay.
Checkmate.
You got me there. All right. But yeah, no one, by the way, has an appropriate reaction. Everyone watching Sonic's dad die. Sonic's like, way past cool. Tails goes, where's the popcorn? And Dulcie goes, hey, do you have a dish antenna?
Very stupid.
But yeah, but then but so then we go to campfire where they're like, hey, there was a dog man who used to work with us, but he was a traitor and he was dressed like an alien for some reason. I don't know, it's fine. But so then the wolf pack show up. Now, is Saturday AM canon or not? Because they say first scene in the animated episode, Cry of the Wolf.
Yeah, it's like auxiliary canon, where it's just like they're like, hey, you know them from that thing. We will then proceed to write them totally differently. So, because like that's what happens when Dulcie appears. Like they're like, this is Dulcie from the show, but then like later on they just give her a new backstory. So it's like, oh, okay.
I feel like I should explain myself a bit here because when I first read this, and even still kind of now, I don't so much look at it as like a part of the Archie Sonic comics. For me, this is kind of like the finale of Sad AM. Like, and now you may be thinking, but Ace, half of the characters in this aren't in Sad AM. To which I would say, yeah, but shut up though.
To which I would say, but Ace, Sad AM had a finale to the conflict in which this is resolving.
Yes and no.
Anyway. Explain yourself, because you're wrong.
That's incorrect. No.
That's factually incorrect.
Well, no, because Sad AM does end on a cliffhanger. And
Sad AM sure does end on them defeating Robotnik and on the cliffhanger of more to come. And this story does end on them defeating Robotnik and more to come.
But no, okay, yes. But the difference is the more to come actually happens here. And we see like basically, okay, not so much the like, okay, so like
he's already spiraling. God. He's already realizing
no, okay. So not so much like the real finale to Sad AM or whatever, quote unquote, but kind of like you know, in Loki, how they have like the timeline and then there's like branches. Like this is like a branch, you know, it's like, hey, this is this thing. And like it's cool. It's cool.
What's cool about it?
We'll get into it. Anyway, Jeffrey shows up and makes out with a teenager. That's fun. Jeffrey, your favorite character, Ian. He's here.
Tell me what's good about this issue where Jeffrey just yells at people for an entire 7 pages.
Okay. So
was it when Jeffrey was like, I'm gonna murder you, Sonic, because you punched me for calling your uncle a traitor, even though he's not? Was it when Antoine was like, man, I was always really cool, but you know, then off screen I had character development.
No, you're objectively wrong about that, by the way. So the reason they don't say, well, Antoine was always cool. No, Antoine was willing to help the freedom fighters. They say, oh, he saved Bunny's like, oh, he saved him a life. But he went through some shit and he didn't have a dad, and so that kind of fucked him up a bit. Like
the exact quote is, you mean he wasn't always unlike us, he rose to the occasion with war and exceptional courage. You mean he wasn't always a doofus? Nope.
Well, yeah, okay.
With a picture of him fighting a SWAT bot with a sword.
I mean, pushing a rock onto a SWAT bot. Thank you very much, Ian.
No, fighting a SWAT bot with a sword. Go to page 13. Looking at this?
Okay, well, yes and no. Yes, but okay. But okay. So yes, but
so the story is that back in the good old days, he was actually very brave and he saved Bunny. And then in the story we read, he was a coward. But now he's just come to that for some reason. And he's now a cool
reason he was a coward was because he was like, well, my dad's dead, but like maybe I'll try fighting for the princess. And the princess was like, hey, fuck you. And so he's like, I don't fucking know, man. Fighting sucks. And that's what it is.
So it's a bad story.
Well, no. What do you mean it's a bad story?
What do you like about that? What is compelling about that?
Well, no, it's not so much compelling as it's just like, I get it. Like there's you make it sound like, yeah, Antoine's just like a completely different guy for no reason, and then he will be not that guy later. Like when there is in the story explained why this is the case.
Right, just because you lie to me doesn't mean it's true. Just because a story says, like, actually there's a through line here in literally 3 panels, and then go, see, that's why he's back to normal now. That's not like an actual good reason. That's just called bad writing.
Well, okay.
That's the point. The point is that suddenly he is now a macho man and he is boring. And they're like, well, actually, he used to be pretty cool, but I don't know. Then, then he went through some stuff. But, if only someone could say me for who I truly am. I don't know. I feel like punching Jeffrey and be like, you are the traitor. You do not deserve to kill Sonic. He is actually an imbecile, but you will not fight for him.
Again, I feel like I also need to explain my kind of my perspective on this, which is, again, I was coming off of Sad AM where Antoine just sucks. And so seeing him like be kind of cool here was like pretty refreshing. So maybe that's cool, maybe I'm
just that you don't like Jeffrey.
Well, no, fuck Jeffrey. No one likes Jeffrey.
Right. So it's not a very high bar. So what did he do that was cool?
Well, he didn't do it. He did anything, which was the bar set by him in the cartoon
audience. We've hit bare minimum. That's a good pro. I like them.
Oh, we're in for
what else happened in this issue? What other good things? One of my favorite parts is when Jeffrey almost kills Sonic, and Sally's like, I don't know. I feel like everyone has some good arguments here, and we'll just have to see if I'm wrong.
Well, look, that's because look, Jeff. Okay, look, no one's defending Jeffrey. Jeffrey sucks. We all know Jeffrey sucks. You just have to deal with Jeffrey is an antagonist in this story. You're not supposed to like Jeffrey.
That's fine, but then why wouldn't we tell like a story about someone who's not annoying?
The story is not about him. I have no idea what you're talking about when you say this story is about Jeffrey, by the way. Because as we will get to, he's barely in it.
Let me count for you. So we got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 pages and then 7. And then, yeah, so we have 7 pages dedicated to Jeffrey aimlessly yelling at people about nothing. And then them going, Jeffrey, here's why I'm a better character than you. And then I go, well, I don't believe you because you made this up on the spot.
Look, this issue notwithstanding, okay? Look, the point of this issue.
All right, so we got 1 down, 4 more to go.
Is to sow dissent within the freedom fighters. You go, hey, there's a traitor. And now, yes. Is it problematic that they go, hey, there's a traitor among the freedom fighters. Hey, kids, there's a traitor among the freedom fighters. Who do you think the traitor is, kids? One of your favorite characters is a traitor. They go, oh, hey, it's the guy who just showed up. Like, yeah, that's pretty shit.
Yeah.
But
I feel like somehow the comic treated me more like had a brain when it was actually talking down to me in jokes.
But yeah, what else even happens?
Who do you think the traitor is? When you read this, who do you think the traitor was?
Oh, I thought it was Jeffrey.
Did you think it was the did you think it was the guy who they were like, wow, Drago, new random character, you sure are wandering off a lot, and you know, you might be.
Well, again, keep in mind, to me at the time, Jeffrey was also a new random character.
True.
And also, it's like in Scooby-Doo, you know, the character who keeps like going off and doing suspicious shit isn't usually the monster. So, you know.
And so the comic got better for you when they subverted that expectation, and it was the character that it was, obviously.
Exactly. I'm glad you understand.
Well, right. Also, anything else about this issue?
Well, also, literally one of our main characters says, actually, Jeffrey's the traitor. So, and like,
yeah, and he's right, long term.
Long term, yeah, he's absolutely right.
Which I love that. I love that Flynn brings that back later, where Jeffrey goes to the hospital room. He's like, you were right about me in the courtroom, and you're right about me all the way back then. I salute you.
So well, no, because Jeffrey isn't fucking with Ixis at this point, right?
Yeah, he is. He's always been a Ixis wizard since he was a kid.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought that happened during like when he went off with Hershey and she died.
No. The idea is that Hershey got him out of doing that because he actually had something to live for. And so when Hershey dies, he just goes back to what he was always doing.
Oh, poor guy.
So when Antoine calls him a traitor here, they actually bring that up later. And it's like, yeah, no, I did actually, because like Antoine says, he's like, bro, you started like this leader of this revolution squad or whatever. That is literally my dad's idea. And like you did everything that was in his stuff and you stole that stuff. And he's just like, well, yeah. They just don't follow up on it.
Yeah, no, they don't. They sure don't. So anyway, then okay, again, we're not going to talk about the Knuckles stuff because it doesn't matter to the Endgame stuff. But one thing I think is interesting is that, so if they hadn't knocked over the acid and revealed the sword was in the dummy, would Knuckles have just fucked off? Like, we just be like, well,
I think they told him to come here, so he probably just kept looking around.
I guess. I don't know.
Like the horseman was like, yeah, go to those specific people and you'll find it. I mean, the funny thing is he's just going to lose his sword anyway, so.
Yeah, I don't remember what happens to the sword.
What happens to the sword is that Mammoth Mogul steals it because he's an idiot.
Is that in... No, that couldn't have been in Battle Royale because that happens before this. When does that happen? I remember that happening.
No, that happens in Battle Royale.
Does that happen in Battle Royale? So Battle Royale happens between 46 and 47?
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Because they're like, come get your sword, idiots. And then Mammoth Mogul makes a bunch of clones, has them fight the freedom fighters, and at the very end, he's like, ha ha ha, now I have the sword.
Oh, so that Knuckles shit just like super doesn't matter for Endgame.
Yeah, and we've been doing this for forever, so.
Fair enough. All right.
Oopsies.
All right. Well, I feel like we've talked a lot about that issue. So let's get into...
What's your rating? Lie to me more.
Look, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
All right.
It's fine.
Next issue.
Okay, so this is it. The ultimate battle begins here. Endgame, part 1 of 4. Sonic the Hedgehog, number 47. One thing I do really like is that all of them begin with like this artsy fartsy, like the years 32, 35 on the planet Mobius and the war and I think that's fun. Like,
I like the images. The images look pretty cool.
yes, the one on the last issue, I think I remember being really good. I hope that image exists like without the text.
Sadly, I tried to find these, and a lot of them don't because, and there's a lot of eye catches that are really cool, but they just have all this text over them. Like, man, I want the versions, so I need to contact like Spaz somehow and just be like, bro, give me all these pictures.
Yeah, but all right. Speaking of Spaz, Ian, you and I can agree the covers for all these issues are dope as fuck, right?
Oh yeah, especially like this first one, like the red sky and like the fall. Yeah, no, every single cover for the Endgame arc is like, so.
Yeah. One thing that is a tad unfortunate is that this cover is a lie because Sonic is not there and does not react when Sally falls.
I mean,
is
that anything new for comic covers?
No, that's fair.
It's all marketing, so.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But all right, so we get into the issue, and so something that will be a bit of a problem throughout the story is the panel layout. It's really bad in this issue in particular. I don't remember having too many issues with it in the upcoming issues, but maybe, I don't know. You're not really sure where you're supposed to look because like there's like literally the first page. Sonic goes, Sally goes, but of course are you? And Sonic goes, I'm always up for trash from Robotnik. First we gotta get where we're going, and he has like this grappling hook. But like your eyes are supposed to go like from left to right, back to left, and then down.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, because we mentioned this in our video, and like literally someone was like, "Dude, it's comic books. It's always left to right." I'm like, "You're a fucking liar. You're wrong. That's not true."
Yeah, no, it's not. And it's not. There's another one that when I first read this, and the first couple times I read this, was where Robotnik goes like, she's the apple of her father's eye. If I was a nice guy, I wouldn't do what I'm about to do, but I'm not a nice guy. The way I read it originally, especially because like there isn't any real like border between the two panels. The way I read it originally was like, she's the apple of her father's eye, but I'm not a nice guy. I was like, are you fucking rhyming? What are you doing? Like, but yeah. So, the Freedom Fighters, they are infiltrating Robotnik space, to do something.
Yeah, they're just going on a big mission to stop him, I guess.
But so Sonic goes inside, whereas Sally, she's climbing down a rope, up a rope. What is she doing? She throws the rope down and is going down. So she's going down the rope. I've never questioned this, to be honest. It's only now that I'm describing, I'm like, why was she on the rope in the first place? It's fine. Doesn't matter. But wait, what is this? So Sonic shows up and cuts the rope. What? What? How could this be?
Yeah, and then like anti-gun protester Rotor's like, quick, let's shoot it with my massive gun.
Yeah, well, was the anti-gun thing, that was later, right?
Yeah, that's Penders, who also wrote this.
Okay. Well, yeah, you can't expect him to remember what he writes.
No, I mean, to be fair on that one, like that one's this is very far apart from that. So
I just love the face on the Sonic mask. I mean, the face that Sonic is making as he cuts Sally's rope, because this is Sonic. Just looks so fucking pleased with himself.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, as much as Endgame is like a trash fire, this is like the only good. This is like the only good issue. And it's because like the paneling's quite good as far as like besides like those little niggles like with the not being able to see things, like you have things like Sonic shooting the grappling hook and it actually like goes across the page and like cuts a hole into the panels into the outside, and then Sonic runs up it. You have all the little like monitors for like them looking through the goggles, which helps create the sense of like where everybody is at the same time. The flashbacks have like these bubbly things. Like they're actually using the fact that they're a comic book medium to their advantage. And you have like a whole page of Sally falling, and it's actually like completely silent to like sell the impact. Yeah, like it's actually like quite well done. And like the tension of like Sonic's like in this big room or whatever, he's got to dodge all these lasers, and Eggman, he's got these really good expressions for when he like clicks the button. So like it's just overall like this whole issue looks quite good.
Yes, I would agree. I would say there are definitely moments in Endgame that do not look great, but overall I'd say it's fairly visually solid. I know you have some differing opinions on that, but I guess we'll get there when we get there.
Good, and I think the last half of issue 50 looks good. Well, no, most of issue 50 looks good because they just swap artists every page. So it's mostly just the 2 middle chapters that look like garbage. But this one looks quite good.
You're wrong, but we'll get there.
Indeed.
Yeah, I will say this: the page of Sally falling is really good. What's interesting, and I don't know if they ever get back to this later. I don't remember if they do. Sally never goes like, "Oh, hey Sonic, what the fuck was the deal with you cutting my rope?"
I mean, she just probably thought she hallucinated it and died.
Yeah. Well, as we'll find out later, someone is definitely hallucinating something in this scene. Hint, hint. We'll get back to that. But so yeah, they're like, we need to get Sally out of here. And then Sonic goes to Robotnik. He's like, hey, Robotnik, I'm gonna kill you or something. And he's like, nah, and he leaves. They get them back to the plane, which is still being flown by Antoine at this point, which is fun. That was a characteristic he had before Tails stole that from him.
Who, pray tell, would have flown the plane back?
What I really the line I like the best is, isn't anyone concerned over what's become of Sonic?
Never.
It's like, who talks like that?
No, the moment-to-moment writing for like a lot of the side characters is pretty lame, but Robotnik's always good, and Sonic, like, he has a few good lines throughout. Like, I like the part where he's just like, just remember to follow the plan. First, we got to get where we're going, and the only way to get there is if you get there in style. Hang on, Sal. Like, just Sonic having a fun time. He's got his personality. He's ready to go. But then you have Rotor, who, pray tell, would have flown the plane back.
Yeah. Wait, actually, correct me if I'm wrong. In the chase, doesn't Antoine have a plane too? Like, him and Tails are both flying planes.
Yeah, which is he also has a plane. They don't use too much, but he's a pilot, and he also like has his own plane. They just barely ever use it.
Yeah, I just remember that being exciting in the chase, where it's like, oh, he has a plane.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay. My next note is God Sonic's face, and I was trying to remember what that was.
Oh, yeah, it's when he's accused, and he's like, "What?"
His eyes bulge out of his head. But so
yeah, it's pretty funny.
So yeah, so we find out Sally died. She's dead. She's dead forever. That's how death tends to work. So yeah, bye Sally, never coming back. So then they're like, yep, Sonic, you suck, and you killed her, so we're arresting you. And then so here's what I think is confusing. So we find out later on that this is a farce. That the we had mentioned this before. King Acorn's back. They've been trying to get King Acorn back, and King Acorn's back. He's just a dude. He's fine. He's not even crystally. But he's like, hey, you know who sucks? Sonic. Before the mission. And then when Sally dies, he's like, hey, Sonic, I knew you sucked. But they make a point to have him go, because of your service to the kingdom, I will forego the death penalty. What? Why? Why make a point?
It's probably just so like Bunny, Antoine, Tails, Uncle Chuck aren't just like, well, I guess we have to overthrow the monarchy now.
No. I'm not saying they should have, like, Robotnik should have. I could absolutely see Robotnik, and the only thing I could justify, and if someone else were writing this, maybe I would see it this way, but I don't know with this one. See Robotnik going like, I could have had them kill you, and I chose to have them not do that. Like, you're welcome. But like for me, I feel like it would have made more sense if you just went, yeah, I'm saying you the devil's gulag. Like you don't need to go like, well, but I don't think the readers would have been like, well, surely they would have actually done the death penalty for him to do that.
Well, obviously the reason they do this though is because we don't know that he's a fake.
I guess maybe that's
it's just for children watching to be like, what? Yeah. King Max? It's like, oh, okay, he's got a heart. He won't kill Sonic. Yeah, that's all it's there for. It's just for a show, which is why like Eggman, had it in the first place. So yeah. Also the scene where they find out Sally is dead, like, is actually quite good. You have this black panel, and then like their panel is sideways, so like their world is shifted. Like I said, there's actually like good paneling in this, and I cannot believe that like this is better paneling than like most superhero comics, which makes me infuriated.
Yeah. But yeah, so then that's issue 47. And you said, Ian, this is kind of where the story peaks for you.
Yep. This is a pretty good issue. I think the biggest problem that comes from this later is that like none of Sonic's friends like fucking do anything or seem to care all that much. They're just like, wow, I can't believe Sonic murdered Sally. This sucks. As like none of you seem to care except for Antoine, who's out of character. So it's just like, all right, well, anyway. But this as a premise, I don't think is bad. Even though it has like some other problems, like Sally being kicked out of the story, which is bad. Especially since she was supposed to die.
That is
so there's
bad.
like there's like some structural things that like don't pay off, like don't work out long term, but as like a hook, like it's a fairly strong hook, and like the art's very good. There's some, some wonky paneling notwithstanding. I think most of it's fairly competent, and very good. Like, again, this whole page where they watch Sonic cut the rope, it's all in the goggles. Like, they are only, it's literally just showing us what are the freedom fighters seeing, how are they viewing this event, which is great. Like, there's just a lot of really good stuff going on here. So, like, as a first issue, does a very good job setting everything up. Makes Robotnik look really competent, really smart. As the very end, where he's like, "Yeah, fuck Sonic, I got him." So yeah, it's very, very strong first issue.
Yeah, I will say, there's a lot about this story I will defend, and I will, you'll hear me defend later on. Fridging Sally is inexcusable, though. Like, full stop, 100%. This is basically almost as much her comic, if not more, let's be frank, than it is Sonic's. Killing her off just to motivate Sonic and having her not take part in the final battle it's inexcusable. That's bad. Like, full stop.
Well, she was cramping his style, so had to go.
Yeah.
That's what Ken Pender said.
Really?
Yeah, he said the reason I killed Sally off is that she made Sonic a second banana and was cramping his style.
That you're the writer, Ken. You could just have her not
you
do
just
that.
Make her good.
Oh God, that's Ken for you. But all right. So Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Fugitive, number 48, Endgame for 204.
Fucking amazing cover.
Is such a good cover, dude. I love the way Spaz draws classic Sonic, like how his limbs are a bit lankier.
And his hands that have like 50 extra joints.
Yeah, so good.
And the cave looks really good. Like, yeah, it's an amazing cover.
And then the interiors.
They're also apparently shooting Sonic with guns because you can see a little explosion on one of the stalactites.
Oh yeah, I always assumed it was a flashlight.
Yeah, me too. I literally just noticed.
That's interesting. But alrighty. But so then we get to the interiors, which are different. I will say, okay, it's a bit jarring, especially coming off the last issue, which did look quite good. The way the characters are drawn is a lot like they look kind of like they were left in the microwave too long. Like, they're a bit small.
Yeah, they're a little like softer and like pudgier. There's two good scenes. There's two good scenes that actually look good in this style, which is Sonic escaping and killing all the robots, and then Robotnik like beating the shit out of everybody.
Okay, good. We were about to fight, Ian, if you said the scene of Sonic breaking out of the plane was not awesome. Because...
No, I like that. I like that scene. It's the one time where like the self-seriousness is actually like funny and like enjoyable.
Well, I don't think I don't think it's meant to be funny. I think
that's okay. It's entertaining.
I mean, okay, but yeah. So then, we cut at the beginning. They're like, well, I guess Sonic killed Sally, and I really like the way Chuck looks in this panel, where it's half of his face, it's a head-on shot of his eyes glowing red, it's black, and he goes, he didn't. He's like clenching his fist. I don't know why. I just really like the way he's drawn here.
Yeah, I'm glad that Uncle Chuck is like completely on Sonic's side.
Yes.
And he's like when Jeffrey tries to like beat him up or whatever, he's like, all right, motherfucker, you're supposed to take him, not like kill him. So get him in there. So that's good. Yeah, I like Uncle Chuck in that scene.
Yeah, Uncle Chuck's good. But so yeah, he gets put on the plane, and they're like, I guess we're taking him to the Devil's Gulag. That's no good. But then, okay, so I guess Robotnik just has like random patrols around the planet that he doesn't necessarily control. Because why the fuck would he do this? Why would he shoot down the plane that was carrying Sonic to prison?
Well, I think that's what I mean. What I was going to bring up earlier, but I didn't want to like jump too much ahead. Which is that like, yeah, like I think that is the idea, right? Is like, okay, ooh, Sonic, we're going to spare you the death penalty. We're going to get you out of here. And then it's like, all right, once he's away from like the crowds and the people, then we're just going to fucking execute him. We're going to shoot him out of the sky. Like, I think that's the idea. Now, does that make any sense when Eggman's just going to come in and take over anyway? No, but the story is bad. So
yeah, sorry, I was dealing with a thing. Yeah, no, it's yeah.
I will give this artist credit. Whenever the plane falls, there's actually very good paneling of the plane crashing, and like it like spiraling down and having like these different shots to like convey it falling, and then like the SWAT bots coming in. So like again, this whole scene where like Sonic breaks out looks genuinely great. Like it actually is super badass.
Oh yeah, it's super dope. And like you have a scene where like his legs are like a vortex underneath him. He does like a cool like spiral kick.
Yeah.
Like that's
And
really
then he like
cool.
spins around all the guys. There's like he like knocks them into the plane and it like explodes. And then when he runs away, they have like a little panel around him. So like the paneling's actually quite good in this one. It's really in the next issue where it just like falls to shit. But
Well, okay. But I think again, I think this scene, I don't find it as like, yes, there is definitely humor in the line. For the first time in his life, Sonic truly understands the meaning of war.
as he has a spin dash with his head at the end of it.
Yes, they could have picked a better image for that. But
just don't put the head on.
Yeah, I appreciate that in this story we're seeing a Sonic who's like just fed up with the bullshit. Which we'll see more of later. We're seeing Sonic who is not necessarily devoid of humor because he keeps cracking jokes throughout this, but like where we see a Sonic who's like, oh no, like I'm done with this, like this sucks. And I like, again, I don't like the fridging of Sally, and I don't think Sally should have been killed to do that. But seeing this characterization of Sonic, I think is interesting, and it's something I appreciate about this story.
We also get the return of the goat, Sleuth Doggy Dog, who is always the greatest character every time he shows up, and I don't mean this as a joke. I genuinely love him. That his whole motivation is he just wanted T-bone steaks. And the Freedom Fighters just ruined that for him. So when he's going to jail, he's like, bro, Sonic the Hedgehog's here? That's the funniest thing I've ever heard. You suck. And I'm like, yeah, get him, Sleuth.
Wasn't that one of the running jokes in your guys' video? Like whenever Sloop Doggy Dog showed up,
yeah, every time he shows up, I freak out because he's great. He's got a stupid name, a stupid face, and he's just always like, man, guys, I'm the coolest guy in the room. Like, you are the coolest guy in the room. Your name is Sleuth Doggy Dog. Who can compete? So
yeah, I mean, clearly. Oh well,
There's also this is another way where Flynn is like an absolute insane person, because later when Mogul hires all the like D tier villains to capture Sonic, they put him in cuffs just like this, and Sleuth Dog, and they're like mocking him or whatever, and Sleuth Dog is like, guys, if you let him out of your sight for a second, he will fight everyone in this room and beat you even handcuffed. And at the time, it's like, oh, Sleuth is just not underestimating Sonic. But no, it is actually a callback to this scene, because he was literally there when Sonic did such a thing.
Yeah, I remember that.
Flynn is awesome.
He is. But so then they're like, hey, King, I mean, not King, but King, Sonic escaped. And then they call in Jeffrey St. John. They're like, hey, Jeffrey, go get him. And he's like, all right. And so then Sonic passes out in a cave, and then looking at my notes, I was expecting some resistance on the plane scene, because I literally wrote, "This scene is cool. Shut up, Ian." Then my next note, I'm not proud of this, but my next note is, "Why, hello, Hershey." Don't fucking judge me, okay? But anyway,
I mean, they did it on purpose. So
yeah.
Yeah. They know. I won't argue. By the way, though, what do you think of boring Antoine?
You see, Antoine's still a bit of a goof, is the thing. Like when they're loading him on the plane, they're like, "Hey," he's like, "Hey, I don't want to scratch on the plane." And Sonic's like, "Is that what you're concerned about?" Like, I guess you could make the argument he's a serious character that they're just putting like a goofy coat of paint over. Which, like, if you were to make that argument, I wouldn't even necessarily disagree. But it's like,
it's not even like it's a terrible thing. It's just it's a symptom of the problem that the Freedom Fighters don't do anything in this entire arc objectively. They do not do anything.
Well, it depends on what you mean by doing anything. Do they affect the final outcome of the plot? No. Does anyone except Snively? No.
Yeah, which is the ultimate censure, but we'll get to it.
Yeah, but so Antoine,
but do they exist in the comic and say lines? You sure do.
Yeah, they do that thing.
Yeah, well, it's like IDW, your favorite comic, where every character appears and everyone has lines.
Shut your dirty whore mouth, Ian. But then so they're following, Antoine and Bunny are following Drago, and Drago's like, "Hey, fuck y'all, send him to Australia." And so he does. But so we'll check back in on them later. But meanwhile, Jeffrey has found Sonic, and my note is this scene is this scene is cool too. Shut up, Ian.
Which scene?
Because it is where Sonic and Jeffrey are fighting in the cave.
Why?
Because it's so cool. Because first of all,
what's cool about it? What do you like?
The art isn't always great, but like they don't put their like stupid like narration or dialogue here. It's just the two of them going at it, and like you get to the scene where like they're just clawing at each other's faces, and Jeffrey is like, and they're both like crying, and Jeffrey's like, "You killed her, and like you killed the woman I love," and Sonic goes,
"You killed the woman I love. You don't love anyone. You only love yourself." I loved it.
Yeah, isn't that scene cool? Where Sonic's like,
of course,
Sonic's
not.
like you. Sonic's like, you love yourself. I loved her. Like,
yeah,
shut up. Isn't that neat?
No, who
cares? No,
Jeffrey.
Oh, so it's not about Jeffrey.
Okay, then why should I care that Sonic likes Sally? Of course he does.
Because again, it's an example of Sonic is shutting the fuck up, and he's just going at. He's exhausted. He's like, again, he's just like rolling around in the dirt with this guy because he's like got heavy chains around him, and he's exhausted. And so when then he finally just snaps emotionally and just goes like, just no quips, no, just like he just says something that he would never say. Like Sonic would never say.
But it like doesn't matter because like the story to get that to happen was bad.
Well, you could argue. I don't think that. Here's the thing: there are a lot of contrivances. Sure, with the whole like, okay, like with how Sonic gets to this cave
with like every single plot point in it.
Well,
like objectively, every single one of them.
You know,
like every one of them, like every single one, like not even not even one that's not.
Every single one is a bit of a stretch.
Name me literally one that's not.
That isn't built on a contrivance.
Yeah, that's not built on a contrivance.
Well, how are we defining contrivance?
I'll just list them for you. All right. So the reason that Sally falls is because of the stupid Snively Vision costume that Hershey does not.
Okay, we'll get to Snively Vision. We'll get to Snively Vision.
The reason Robotnik dies is because off screen, Snively just made it so he would die in a situation he could not have predicted. The reason that Sonic is in this situation is because of the Sally thing, which is contrived. Literally and the reason Sonic gets out of this 3-part story is because a dragon comes down and says, "Hey, the story's over now." And they go, "Well, the dragon said so."
So anyway, so then Robotnik shows up in that hole. And this scene is really cool because the king is like, "Hey, this is Robotnik," and then Rotor tries to shoot him.
I will fucking kill you.
Yeah,
Robotnik great, and because then like Robotnik just like bashes everyone's heads in or whatever. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, it's great. Like Robotnik is super awesome here. Yeah, and so then I kind of combined both the Jeffrey scenes together. But Sonic's fighting Jeffrey. He tries to escape. He jumps off a cliff. To be continued.
Robotnik is peak. Just saying it now. Robotnik is peak fiction out of this whole story because he just comes in and wrecks everyone's shit, and it's great.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
He's just a bastard. I love him.
My last note for this issue is: how could you not like this? But I guess you just don't have a heart, Ian. It's fine.
I mean, you've yet to dissuade any single thing I've said
because it's cool. It's so cool. You got to see all the cool.
That's literally why people like IDW. Is because it's cool.
No, that's different. You shut the fuck up, Ian. It's completely different.
In that story, Sonic doesn't get mad, but this one he does get mad, so I like it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I like my main character to have like emotions and like a stake in the plot.
I just would prefer if he had emotions and, like, for reasons that I cared about.
I mean,
like if all it took was Sonic getting mad, I could read any fan fiction where he gets mad. Like, who cares?
Okay, well maybe I have. So how about that? Anyway,
all right. Defend your next hack issue.
Sonic the Hedgehog number 49 Endgame.
All right, now I'm going to talk about a scene I like. So Sonic falls, and he does like the funniest thing ever. I genuinely like this, which is that he takes dirt out of his shoes, throws it, and then runs across the stream of dirt to get to the other side, which is actually awesome.
Yeah, that's fun. Yeah, so then he runs away.
I didn't mention you good.
But so yeah, I didn't mention this before, but he's being chased by Tasmanian devils, which is fun.
Yep, it comes back at the end of the story.
Yeah, one of my notes is, "Oh God, Jeffrey's chest," because it is he is a big boy right there.
He is a big boy.
Yeah, I will say, I don't think the art in this issue is bad. But it's definitely interesting. Yeah. So then we cut back to Knothole, and Robotnik's like, "Yeah, Fuck y'all. I love Tails. Look at Tails. Tails is just sitting here. He might as well be in a high chair.
He does
Like,
not.
look,
Yeah, he does not care.
like, just look at his dead fucking eyes. The way he's gripping the seat. He's just not giving a shit.
He's terrified, man.
Is he?
He's a child.
I guess. Bentley agrees with me. That's how he's fucking. But anyway, so then Robotnik he's talking some shit, and then Dr. Quack, who's a character. Did we mention Dr. Quack? Dr. Quack exists.
Yeah, Dr. Quack is literally responsible for why Sally is alive, because while Sally was, dead, she was actually only mostly dead, and he just kept her alive.
Yeah.
Also, the reason that we're in this scenario in the first place is not from anything clever that like Robotnik did. It's just that, they just captured Dr. Quack, my favorite character's family, and then just said, hey, you work for me now. You're going to get me into Knothole. Riveting.
Well, yeah, but like, look at them. Look at their little duck faces. Don't you feel bad for them?
No, kill Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
Oh God. Yeah, speaking of Dr. Quack, he's talking to Snively. Snively's like, hey, you're gonna do one more thing for me. I'm gonna kill your family. I don't remember what that one more thing actually is.
This is like, I think, I don't care. I don't give a shit. You can make it up. I'll accept it.
Because he's like, take the kid, like, you obey our instructions to the letter if you ever want to see your family again. And he's saying that as he's like wheeling away the king. So maybe that's something that gets followed up later with the king. I assume. I don't know. But
now, my favorite subplot, the Down Under Freedom Fighters.
Yeah, well, one last thing. They misspell Sally's middle name. They spell Alicia as Elisha, which I just thought was fun.
Now, my favorite is when Robotnik returns and he has this big speech about like how he's back, and literally the first line misspells his name. So he's like, the greatest super scientist who ever exist, Dr. Robotic. Oh gosh.
That's fun. I mean, look, there's clearly no editors working on this comic. None of this shit would have gotten past if there were. Yeah. But so then Sonic calls Dulcie. He does a supersonic whistle.
Yeah, which is cute. That's how it is in the show. He has like a whistle he can use to call her or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, and then we gotta talk about Snively Vision.
Defend it.
So okay. Well, we have to say what it is first, though. So the Sonic that cut the rope and killed Sally was actually Hershey wearing a Sonic costume with a Sonic mask that made every person she looked at look like Snively.
Indeed. And Drago was like, hey, babe, put it on for sexy times and keep it on the whole day because I like you and you look really good in it. And since she's in an abusive relationship, she didn't argue back. And it's like it's like really emotional and like it's a very compelling character. Which is why, when she gets like 3 pages to like get revenge, and she has more like screen time than literally any freedom fighter in the entire comic. In this whole arc, I'm like, wow, I can't I'm crying over here over Hershey the cat. I can't believe she got out of her abusive relationship with Drago. It makes me feel things.
More screen time than any other freedom fighter might be a bit of an exaggeration.
Tell me who has more screen time than Hershey the cat. And I mean like actual screen time, not like they exist in the panels. I mean,
Antoine and Bunny have a whole side plot in Australia. What the fuck do you mean?
Where they factually do nothing.
They sure talk a lot.
And sure don't have any character stuff either.
Okay, anyway. So Snively Vision. Okay, look, I can't defend Snively Vision. It's dumb. But it's also like not even the 12th dumbest thing I've seen in the time I've been reading comics. So like whatever.
Right. Since comics are bad in general, it's okay that it's bad here.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the first time I read this, I didn't question it. And then when I read it a couple years ago, I was like, that's a little weird. And like, look, it is what it is.
I'll do you one better. I don't even care that it's stupid. That's the big twist. The big fucking twist is why is Sally Acorn dead because of some stupid 2 random side characters who only exist in this arc?
Well, and okay. Yes and no. Sally's dead because of Robotnik. It's just a couple extra steps to get to Robotnik. But like, yeah, look, it sucks. Okay, you want to hear me say it? It sucks. Okay, are you happy now?
I wanted to hear.
Anyway. So then we cut to Australia,
Yeah, tell me what you liked about this scene where Croctobot rants for an entire page about
Oh
literally
no,
nothing.
that's not great. I think one of my my note literally says who cares. And like,
Yep.
look, if I had been reading this and I had like read the stories Crocbot was in, maybe I
No,
would have cared.
I'm just gonna deny you right now any semblance of defending this. No, you would not care more.
Okay, fair enough. But so then yeah, with the Down Under Freedom Fighters, they hang out with them for a bit. They're in a prison cell. They're like, you have collars on that will explode if you try and fuck with them. So they're in a pickle. How are they gonna get out of it? Well, we'll see. But then Sonic and Dulce go to Angel Island, and Sonic and Knuckles fight for a bit, and that's fun. Isn't that funny?
What's fun about it?
It's just, you know, like, 'cause, again, I think part of it is also like, and granted, this might have been just kind of in character for Sonic at this part, but Sonic is like a lot meaner to Knuckles here than he usually is, where he's like, I might have known you'd attack the sweetest, most gentle creature on the planet for no reason, you brain dead redhead. He's like, he's still making quips, but I think you can clearly tell that he's just like, fuck this guy. Like, I'm done with this.
Sonic's definitely upset in this arc. That is true.
Yeah, you're not. Yep, you should, yep. And then
now let's get to some actual fucking Kino with issue 50.
Okay, well, yeah, well, I gotta say that the bit they have at the end of this issue, hyping up issue 50, literally has the line "the ultimate three-way" when referring to
let's go
Sonic and Knuckles fighting.
Let's go.
So that's fun. And then we get a fun pinup of Sonic on some dead robot parts. That's cool.
Yeah, he looks weird, but I like the robots.
But already, folks, it's time.
Oh, it's time. Okay, can I? Yes, please. Can I please talk about this opening scene?
Sure.
All right. So now we get like just the greatest thing ever, which is that Spaz draws Robotnik's backstory, and he just in gorgeous detail depicts that Robotnik is just like some scum asshole who escaped prison, and just by luck he was saved by Sonic's dad and uncle. And through them showing mercy, they ruined everything. The whole world is fucked because they showed mercy to this Overlander. And he took advantage of all their kindness. You get these amazing shots of like this giant war that's going on between a bunch of Sega characters and the Overlanders. You get to see Robotnik. This is all just a dream. He's dreaming of the time in which he betrayed all these people. So it's not just a flashback. It's a happy memory, apparently, that he's having. He wakes up. And then he goes into another room, and he's going to test the weapon that he's going to use to kill everyone in Knothole on a human being who knows who he is. And he's like, what's up, bitch? And then he fucking murders a guy, and we watch it happen on screen. It's the coolest thing ever. These pages are all Kino. 10 out of 10 scene. Robotnik is the best. He is a slimy scumball, and Spaz's art just sells every single second of it. All right.
And that's why this story is great. I agree with you, Ian. But no, yeah, no, I agree. That whole thing is great. The part that confused me about that one scene is maybe I just don't understand how the Ultimate Annihilator works. But he goes, there are some fates that are worse than death. But doesn't the Ultimate Annihilator is just like a big laser, more or less, right? Like,
yeah. It's just Robotnik. He's so cool. He can't help himself. But you know, top even death itself.
He's gotta say something. The one thing I thought was a bit confusing about that scene, though, was that he goes like, Julian, but we didn't know you were Robotnik. What? How? You're telling me none of you had like a picture of him? Or like what? Like, do people not know what Robotnik looks like?
I mean, I'm guessing he's not like weirdly enough, unlike Eggman, who plasters his face everywhere, Robotnik, I guess, doesn't really, if you think about it.
Yeah, so I guess he doesn't.
Yeah, so and again, his name's Julian Kintobor. So I don't think they would I don't think they would assume that like, oh, that random guy who ran away all those years ago or whatever. He's Robotnik. Oh shit. Now obviously I don't know if like they knew, because he was a war general for a while. So there's probably some things that don't match up.
That was it. That was the thing I was thinking.
Yeah, he's the war general, but who knows? I don't know what this guy's deal is. Either way, it's fucking great. And I love it. I love Robotnik. Yeah. He's Kino.
What does that mean? Why do you keep saying that?
Kino just means it's awesome. It's like some dumb Japanese anime slang.
Fair enough.
It actually means something. I just haven't looked it up. I think it just means like perfection, basically. It's awesome. It's wonderful. Good job. Good job. Good job, Spaz. You're the greatest.
Fair enough. Yeah, you get to see Bean here. It's some good shit. But yeah. So then we cut to some who gives a fuck characters named like Sonic and Knuckles. I don't know. And they're fighting. But then
yeah, and Jeffrey's like, man, Sonic sure did kill Sally, and Knuckles is like, wow, I believe you instantly.
Well, to be fair, at this point, they're not like buddies, right? Like Knuckles doesn't really like Sonic that much, right?
They have like a decent like back and forth. The problem is less of like, does it make sense, and more of, wow, this sure is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
So
also, you gotta love how Mighty on this page with all the text, Mighty is right in the middle. He does not show up in this issue.
Oh yeah, you're right.
that's fun. But so yeah, then SBO shows up and restrains Sonic, and then Jeffrey's like, okay, yeah, Ian, you can go off on this.
No, you say what happens in your amazing comic.
You fucking
tell me where the story. In which way does the story go? What is the payoff to 3 issues? Of like running around fighting my favorite character, Jeffrey St. John.
Okay, fine, you fucker. So what happens is Dulcie shows up. And it's like, so Sonic didn't murder Sally, and I know because dragons have magic lie detector powers. We can look into people's hearts, and so he didn't kill Sally. So get off his ass. And then everyone's like,
Knuckles goes, a dragon's spoken word is fact. And the end, we did it.
Yeah. I look, okay. This fucking sucks. Okay, I can't argue with this. But
why does it suck? Tell me. I need you to tell me. Say it to me.
Because, well, for a number of reasons. First of all, why is Dulcie not just at every trial that happens in Knothole?
No. I don't fucking care about the nitpicks. Tell me why. Tell me why. For 3 issues, we've been having a story about Sonic as a traitor. And what is the resolution to that? The resolution is that fuck you, we're in the finale. It's over. It doesn't matter anymore. We fixed it. Game over.
Okay. But let me ask you this. Would it have been that much different? And okay, look, I'll cut you out. The answer is yes. But it takes about as much page real estate as if Hershey had just gone like, hey, here's the Sonic suit. I did it. My bad, guys.
Which would have been shit and bad.
Well,
it's not about it coming out of nowhere. It's just that the whole premise of this stupid story is bad.
Well, I mean, look, it's not, but you could have done something to like provide a resolution.
Maybe, I don't know. This is just throwing ideas out there. I'm not a writer. Maybe it could have connected to Sonic's friends who I care about. That is an option. You know, you don't have to go with that option, but one option could be you write a story where, and like, follow me on this. You write a story where the characters I know, that I know, you know, not that the writers know and like put into the story randomly at the last second. Characters I know and care about, they like impact this fictional story in a way that is like means something to me, like means something to my heart, you know? Because I don't know if you knew this, but these characters aren't real. So sometimes when you make things that aren't real, you try to connect it to the human experience. And one of the human experiences is friendship. So maybe if Sonic had like some, I don't know, if they wrote him like some friends who helped them in this story about Sonic and his, they have a name. I think it's like the fucking Freedom Fighters. One of the F's is probably missing. But, you know, if they wrote a story, maybe, where Sonic's friends helped him, I think that could have made it like just slightly better. Just slightly. Just a little bit. Just a little bit better.
Oh, okay. So, look. You're right. Okay? You are right.
Who's your favorite character in this arc?
Probably Sonic.
Why? Because he's angry?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's fun. It's fun seeing a different side of Sonic. Is that wrong?
But when you like that in like a story where like other good things happen?
Yes.
You like the rest of Archie. You know that he gets mad in other situations that are good.
Yes. Does he have a climactic final battle with Robotnik where they both scream at each other as they fall into oblivion in other Archie stories?
No, because that part's Kino and peak fiction. It's great.
Well, we'll get to that later. Yeah, but like, look, I can't argue with the fact that yes, this is basically the finale of Archie Sonic. At least it wasn't their brains, and in a sense, it is. Like, you know, for those first 50 issues, like this is it. This is it.
Yeah, Robotnik dies. They're a bad guy.
But I can't really even explain it, dude. I'm just saying when I read this like this morning, I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Like,
it's because it ends on a high note. It tricked you. It messed with your brain.
I don't think so. There are a lot of parts of the story I genuinely like the cave fight, which you made fun of me for liking. And you know, other thing, that first issue is all pretty good. I think the artwork for the most part is consistently solid. Yeah, you know.
Tell me what else happens in this issue. Tell me what happens next.
So okay, so then Tails and Rotor are like, we're gonna do stuff in this story. So then they go.
What do they do?
Nothing. They they get kidnapped. They get captured by Drago. Because they has a lot of robots and they have guns, and Rotor doesn't try to use his gun. They have there's a fun reference in like issue 1. Rotor says "Holy abalone," and Tails says that here.
Well, they to defend Rotor, they blew up his gun. So
they did blow up his gun. You don't think he has another gun?
You don't know that. Rotor doesn't get any defense. I'll defend him.
But so then, this is interesting. There's stuff missing, and it's because in the archives they put the director's cut version.
Yeah, which you were reading, right?
Oh, I mean, yes, but this version I'm looking at is not. Give me like 2 seconds.
Yeah, the director's cut version is like the version you need to read, obviously.
Fucking, is it not on here? Fine. You know what? I'm gonna get my long box. I'm gonna go there. Pull it out. It's right here. I got it. I got it used on Amazon. It's beat to shit because it's from a public library. I can tell because it has like stickers on the library stickers on it. But you know what? I love it all the same. But all right. So we're gonna. I mean, I have my notes. I don't need to do this, but whatever. Fuck it. So here we are. So what happens? Actually, I have no notes for the Antoine and Bunny section now that I'm looking at it.
Womp womp.
It's just kind of they
escape down under. That's it.
Yeah, So they
they're like they I think they find out that like Robotnik's gonna like kill everybody because Sonic obviously wouldn't know that. So
yeah, there's it's like 2 pages. And then Robotnik calls Crocbot and he's like, "Hey, how are things going?" And Crocbot's like, "Don't worry, I sent the stuff to you." We also find out, not here, but in a thing at the end of the issue, that Crocbot is trying to betray Robotnik too. And it's like, why did you? I guess just to explain why there was a bomb on there, but like just have the bomb be there anyway. Who gives a shit?
Right. Well, okay, follow me. Blah, 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 same speech. What if the characters I knew did that? That was cool. What if like Bunny and Antoine, who were in this scenario and could have learned that, they placed the bomb?
Well, they do place the bomb.
No, I mean like the bomb to destroy like the cargo or whatever.
Oh yeah. Well, they should. I don't know why they were like, okay, this cargo that needs to fire the Ultimate Annihilator. What if we just let it get there?
Yeah. What if we just let it get there?
Did something.
And then what if we placed the bomb too late? And if Snively literally didn't save the world, all our friends died.
That is something. There is kind of a tragic comedy about this, whereas like literally no character needed to do anything because when all is said and done, if no one had done anything, if all the Freedom Fighters had just stayed in Knothole, Robotnik would have fired the Ultimate Annihilator and killed himself, and that would have been it.
Well, no, that's what makes the story even worse. Is that Snively apparently was betting on the idea that they play, because the reason it explodes and hits Robotnik and Sonic, this is why this comic is so fucking bad. So okay, the reason it explodes and kills Robotnik is because of the bomb that Antoine and Bunny place. Like, they put the bomb on it and it causes it to explode.
Yes,
so
you're right.
Antoine.
So you're wrong about Antoine and Bunny not doing anything.
No. What I mean though is the reason it attacks Robotnik is because Snively placed it there. But the plan was for it to destroy them. How did he know that would happen?
Well, because fighters always fuck up his plans.
I guess it's stupid.
I would fully be willing to believe that Snively was just banking on they're gonna blow up the thing and that will kill Robotnik.
All right, great. So then that just means Bunny and Snively. I mean, they still don't do anything because again, their goal was to save everyone, and they just literally did exactly what Snively wanted them to do. So they don't do anything. But yeah,
Sure.
that just means that Snively is the coolest guy ever. And why
don't you like
to do anything?
Aren't you the guy who goes like, I actually like that Archie Sonic ends with everything being shit? Because actually, when you think about it, the whole comic is about the world being shit. Don't you like that? Shouldn't you like that?
That's in a good story.
Anyway, then we see Knuckles and Jeffrey and Sonic. They come to Knothole. Sonic looks fucking hilarious, by the way, and with the parachute, looks really funny. Look at his face.
Yeah, he does. He does not care anymore. Yeah. You realize suddenly he's afraid of heights.
Maybe, I don't know. But so
Jeffrey's
then they drop
so
in.
Sad. Look at him. He's frowning.
Yeah,
he's like, man, I wanted to kill Sonic really bad.
Yeah, it's like, God damn it, dragon, fucking piece of shit. Also, Dulcie just doesn't come with because I guess
because she's too powerful.
Well, because she goes like, I don't think I'll fit on the plane. It's like, you have wings. What the fuck do you mean? What are you talking about?
Oh, I hate this issue. Anyway, go on.
But so then they show up and we get an awesome double-page spread of them wrecking shop. Where look, Tails and Rotor are helping in the background. They do things. What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this? This character in the lower left of the double-page spread.
There's just a person they're saving. He looks like a Smurf.
Yeah, it's like a blue man.
Yeah, I feel like he's a Smurf. I feel like he's supposed to be a Smurf.
You think? I don't know. Well, because he looks kind of like if I had like not good vision and I squinted, I would think that was Sonic in like a hat, like, right?
Yeah. No, well, he's got the big bushy eyebrows, but yeah.
Yeah. We get this, so we get this page which is awesome, and we get this panel which is awesome where Sonic's looking at Drago, who is just hauling ass, and you see the reflection in his pupils, which is really cool.
And what does Sonic do to Drago?
Okay, so so Hershey, she is like, hey, Drago, Sonic's gonna kick your ass, but you should wait. Did they just take a page out of the normal edition that was in the director's cut? Are you fucking serious?
Did they get rid of her like posing like a hottie?
They did. I mean, I'm especially upset about that. But they just it just cuts to so in this version, in the main version, she just throws a rock at him.
Even they know it doesn't matter.
She just fucking what? Oh my gosh. Okay, so then yeah, the whole page of her like beating him up and like slashing him with his claws and like it just cuts from him running to throwing a rock at him. I can't fucking believe that. What?
You're like, I'm holding this in my hand. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I'm looking at both versions. I can't fucking believe. Okay,
how would they do that? That's so weird.
That is weird. I guess they just you didn't have enough pages. That's strange. Well, also, you know why they did it? So they could sell you a director's cut version of the same issue. So that's why they did it.
Volume, whatever, director's cut.
Yeah, but so then Sonic's face looks really weird. For a sec, he's like, I don't know what the fuck they were doing there. But so then
he's determined.
Yeah, but so then he's like so then Robotnik wakes up from his nap. Wait, no, why did they cut out all the okay. So they no, it's just because the paneling is fucked up. Okay, now we're good. We're back on track. Okay, so in this version, Bunny and Antoine just show up at the factory.
Yeah, because that's the original version. They just cut, like, in the original version of Endgame, they don't do anything. They just teleport there.
That's amazing. I can't fucking believe what. Okay. So then Sonic shows up and he uses his magic after image powers, which is fun.
Yeah, no, I like that as a power. I also like him kicking Snively, and he says the heel bone's connected to the chest bone.
Oh yeah, I like the line where he's like, if this is the last thing I ever do, I'll make sure you never see the inside. And Sonic goes, You're right about one thing, Needle Nose. It'll be the last thing you ever do.
So, like, is Snively like pretending here?
Yes.
Hooked on a feeling, dun 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 dun.
I would, you know what? I'll say yes. I'll say yes.
You know what? I like Snively enough that I will just say yes, and I will not argue with you.
Okay.
I like Snively, so.
But so then, are you fucking serious? Okay. So then, so in the original version, Sonic just shows up, and they go, "What are you doing? What the fuck?" Okay. So, audience, I want to. Okay, so in my hands, I have Sonic Archives Volume 13. Okay, and in this, there's a scene where Sonic meets up with Antoine and Bunny, and God damn it, I lost the page. Where's the page? So he beats Snively, and then he runs into Antoine and Bunny, and he's like, they're like, "Hey, we got this bomb. We're gonna put it on the thing. It's gonna be super cool." And Sonic has like a moment where he's like, "You go make sure that thing blows up. I'm gonna go fight Robotnik." And then there's like a whole big build up where we see. So wait, does he fire the Annihilator? What is happening here? So wait, does the Annihilator even fire in this version? Okay. So it does fire. It's so cluttered in this version. What the fuck is happening?
He's losing faith in real time.
I can't believe. So it's literally Sonic runs into them. I do kind of, okay, admittedly, to give them something. To give them something. I do kind of like the quickness of, like, he runs to them, like, the line where Sonic goes, like, do it now! Like, I like it because, as Ian has said, has made fun of me for multiple times. I like Sonic's kind of desperation and his kind of, like, just on edge this whole story. So him just kind of, like, just lashing out like that, I think is interesting. But it's so cluttered and clunky. Like, we go from him going like, okay, go put the bomb on the thing, to Robotnik firing like on the top of the next page, Robotnik firing the thing. And then he punches him, and then they just go into the fight. What the fuck? Okay. Okay. So
and then Sonic shows up to Robotnik, by the way, and instead of like fighting Robotnik and making sure he doesn't like start the thing, he just fights robots for a while, and then Robotnik's like, well, I mean, I guess if you're not gonna fucking fight me, click. And he's like, no, what about
well, that's what's interesting, is that in the original version he goes right for Robotnik. Is this panel in the original? It must
Wait,
be.
by the way, cool. I don't think the Snively fight is in the original, is it?
It is. That's why I was confused, because he fights Snively and then he just gets right to Robotnik, because there's like 2 panels with Antoine and Bunny where he goes, go put the bomb on the thing. Like, oh my gosh. Okay, so to their credit, though, to the original's credit, I guess, this cool panel of Sonic punching Robotnik. I don't know who drew this. It looks. I don't think this is Spaz,
I believe.
Do you think? Okay. He's got a lot of uvula.
Is it the one where he like uppercut punches him or whatever? Not like later, but I mean like he like dashes at him and it's like there's like after images of whatever, and he like punches him.
There's a pink Kodak.
Okay.
It's like a pink impact thing. It's in the original. It's not in the director's cut version. I don't think. I don't see it. But so then I'm just gonna look at the director. I'm just gonna look at the book now. The book in my hands now, because I guess I can't trust this fucking version. Okay. So then okay, so where were we? Okay, so Sonic runs into Antoine and Bunny, supposedly. And they have a bomb. They're like, we're gonna put this bomb on the Ultimate Annihilator, and it's gonna be super cool. We're gonna save the day. And Sonic's like, okay, go put that on the bomb on the thing and make sure it blows up before it kills everyone. And then Sonic goes to face Robotnik, and I don't think he's not just fighting robots. He's trying to get through the robots to get to.
I mean, he sure is like in front of Robotnik in one of these panels.
In front of Robotnik in that panel. So okay, well, so the point is meant to be, it's not really illustrated super well by the art, but that like he's trying to fight through the robots to get to Robotnik, and he just kind of can't. He
just missed.
He missed. It's fine. But so then Robotnik blasts Knothole, and Sonic's like, oh fuck, and the director's version doesn't have this scene I really like, where Sonic's like, oh man, you killed everyone, like where it starts with them being like, with the text really small, where he's like, all my friends, everyone that ever mattered, it's all gone because of you, Robotnik. And he's like starts shouting, he goes like, you better run, Robo, but like he's out for blood at this point.
Yeah.
Just cool. And then Antoine's like, I mean, I guess I'll still put the bomb on the thing. Might as well.
He's like, buddy, you didn't hear that it fired, right? No, Sugar. You're a hero. I am a hero.
But then so
all right.
But so then yeah, and they cut out the dialogue between them too, because the dialogue in the director's cut is he's like Robotnik's like, I'm about to die, but you know what? I destroyed Knothole, so before I die, all I gotta do is kill you, Sonic. And so yeah, and then the narrator goes like, I mean, I'll just read it because it's fucking dope. Although conscious of their impending doom, at this point, both combatants feel they have nothing left to lose. After years of exchanging insults and vows of personal destruction, all is said and done. The only recourse left is... And then they just
fight for like 3 pages straight.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
And it looks incredible. It's like one of the best... It might be like the best, just like art-wise, Sonic and Robotnik anything. Or Eggman. Like Spaz is going crazy. There's all these like after images. There's like a fucking star explodes when he punches Robotnik in the face.
I mean, there's a reason
around. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead.
There's a reason this last panel before it gets to like pencils, which is also so fucking good. There's a reason that's the cover of the Sonic Archives volume. Like it's because it's fucking
iconic.
Exactly.
And also I don't. Someone brought this up, and it might be true. I'll go with it because you can't really tell. So Robotnik shoots Sonic, and Sonic attacks his arm. And in the final shot, you do not see his robot arm. So it implies that Sonic like broke it off.
Oh, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah. And then you get the best part, which is that there is just a pencil sketch page of Sonic like choking out Eggman as like, because the whole thing is like they know that it's gonna explode and like kill both of them. So they're just like, all right, let's just do the final fight, you know? And so like they do that. And then to really sell it, like, so it goes from like color pages, pencil sketch, and then there's just one page that is white.
Yeah, it's so good.
And then Sonic rips through the white through the ring. And it's like, holy shit.
Yeah, it's so fucking good, dude.
Yeah. So
let's see if they ruined this in the normal version too. Is the pencil?
I don't think so.
Oh god, they did. The pencils isn't in here. It just the pencils and the white page is not in the original. It just goes straight from what? I'm on
Sonic Archives?
I'm reading the pencils. The good version is in the Sonic Archives. I have that in my hands right now on the completely legal website I'm looking at. It goes they're fighting. I think there might be less. Oh god, yeah, they cut the fight too. They didn't cut the fight, but the fight is shorter, I think. Oh no. Okay, no, the fight's only 2 pages in the original too. But yeah, no, the pencil sketch is not in it, and the white page is not in it. It goes straight from Sonic's the cover image of Sonic grabbing on Robotnik's like thing to his hand coming out of the ring.
Awesome.
I'm actually glad that I have both versions up so I can point out the comparisons because man, they fucking butchered this thing.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
So Sonic comes out of the thing. He's like, I'm not dead. Who is
and they're
talking?
They're like, whatever.
Yeah, who is talking when is it Antoine and Bunny when he comes out of the thing? It couldn't be because they don't have their weird accents.
I don't know if like the implication is like he teleported to Knothole, maybe. Like he's in like a robotic thing, but I have no clue. I have no clue where he is, but whatever.
Doesn't matter. He wakes up and they're like, hey, so Snively reprogrammed the beam so that way it would only kill Robotnik. So you're good and Knothole's good, but also Knothole's 3 hours in the future, and we will do nothing interesting with this.
We will do nothing but make you insane with this when we bring it back like 15 issues from now, or like 25 issues.
Yeah, when we give you green eyes in the worst way possible.
But also Sonic wakes up. Dr. Quack is like, Sally's not dead. She was only mostly dead. And then Sonic runs to see her, and we actually get a good little scene of like him silently walking up to the thing, opening it up, giving her a kiss. And I also like that he doesn't like kiss her on the lips for this. Like he just kisses her on the cheek, and then like they kiss like normally.
Yes.
And it gets a whole page to it. And it's like, oh, she's back. And then we get a little page of like, and everyone lived happily ever after. There's some bad guys out there. You know, the end.
Well, yes and no, the end. Because, first of all, yeah, I agree with everything you say. I love this scene of Sonic and Sally. Although my note, because he goes, he walks up and he goes, I love you, Sally. Please come back. And she goes, what did you say, Sonic? And then you have the, oh my God, they cut the kiss in the original too.
Yeah.
What the fuck is happening? But so then, you have the full page spread, which they was referenced in Sonic Genesis, where yeah, he kisses her, and then he goes, I'm just happy to see you again. So okay, but anyway, so my note for this literally says, God damn it, just tell her. Whatever, it's fine. We gotta keep we gotta have that juicy relationship drama.
I was gonna say, I don't know if I've ever platonically like dipped a girl I really like and made out with her, but
I mean, I do that every Tuesday, so I get where he's coming from. But
I don't know how she couldn't know you love her.
Yeah, well, I don't fucking know, man. I think
it's kid logic where it's like it's not official until you say it.
Yeah, he hasn't given her a promise ring yet. So
yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, but we're not quite done yet though, because we have Sonic the Hedgehog presents An Untold Tale of Endgame.
Oh yeah, from the Super Special.
Yep. It's it sure exists. Bunny and Antoine just tell their story of escaping and getting the bomb, and the only reason I really bring this up is because we get to see a nice campfire scene of everyone celebrating. Although there's a fun bit of Antoine going, who was that SWAT bot I saw with C Mama last night to a compot, which I thought was fun.
Yeah, that's funny.
And then it ends, and they're like, all right, yeah, toast, yeah, it's fucking awesome, we won, things are cool.
Yeah, so it's like a little bit of aftermath of them like celebrating, basically.
And then I'm only bringing this up because it's in the archives, and I think this was also in the Super Special, is Total Regenesis. I have one note for this, which is, did Hideaki Anno title this? That is it
was just set up for the Genesis wave,
I guess. But yeah, it's just a fun little like throwaway story where it's like the three of them being like, hey, we beat a robot, and they're all going like, actually I was super awesome and killed the robot, and then they're like, actually all three of you were awesome, and then it ends.
Yeah. Okay. Now to get serious. That's Endgame. To get serious for a sec, I do understand what you mean by, sure, the stuff around Sonic is like bad. But Sonic's story himself of like, this is the finale, and we want to treat that as like it matters. The comic does buy into its bullshit, and through that, yes, it lets Sonic, the character I do care about, and Robotnik especially, it does let them, if anything else, it does let that core idea of Sonic versus Robotnik, it does crank that up to 11 and treats it with the exact kind of seriousness that is warranted. The details of which those things happen, I think, are garbage. But if what you connect to is the idea of, because obviously I like gag era Sonic, and I like him even through the Endgame. Like, I think his character is likable. So obviously I want to see him succeed. I want to see him be cleared of his name, blah 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 blah. And most of all, I just want to see him fight Robotnik. And so if you can buy into the premise of the story, the thing that does hold up is that Sonic is written in such a way that his emotions are running high, and you actually get to see the different aspects of which that is conveyed. For me, I cannot accept that because everything around it is so miserable to read for me that does not save it. Now, the moments that are great, I think are all great. The fights, I think the first issue is pretty good as a setup. And I think that like everything with Robotnik is like wonderful. But the moment-to-moment reading experience of this arc, I think, is completely miserable. I hate reading all the just endless text. I hate all the characters we focus on. I hate that this is the end for our Robotnik, and we just kind of sideline all these other characters, and yet give so much time to characters who I just don't give a shit about, and also literally come out of nowhere. So to me, the sins of the arc and how like just it treats every other character but Sonic and Robotnik makes it just trash. But as a story of Sonic versus Robotnik, that core is good. Like, I do genuinely like that. And so if that's what you took from it, that totally makes sense. But for me, it leans too hard on the other end, which is that stuff is not able to save it. It's more of, little glimmers of hope for what could have been a great arc for me. So that's why, I've been messing with you the whole time and like mocking you or whatever. But I understand the core of what you like. I think is that would you agree?
I would say so. Yeah. Because like here's the thing, right? When I think back to Endgame, I don't think of Hershey hitting Drago with a rock. Like I think of like the cool stuff. I think about the final battle. I think about I think about that ending with Sonic and Sally. I think about even I don't like the fact that they killed Sally or killed quote unquote. That the way it's done artistically.
They removed her from the story, from the finale, and the rest of the freedom fighters.
Yeah, like I remember that stuff. Like again, I can't. Here's the thing: the stuff you said is bad, with a few exceptions. Like I said, I don't think Jeffrey's terrible. I think he works just as an antagonist in this. But the stuff you said is bad, of like the dragon coming out of nowhere, and the fact that this who gives a fuck character is the one who kills Sally, and she does it but with snivelly vision. Like I can't argue against any of that. That all sucks. But I think it's just like I don't know, whatever. Like that sucks, and I turn the page. Like I think that's what it is for me. It's just like whatever.
Right, and the thing that you're consistently seeing is Sonic dead set on his goal, and that's the part you're engaged in. So that
exactly.
it kind of like each page like has like it's like basically like each page that like depletes your energy is like you turn the page and you're revitalized by like the thing that you actually care about. And by the end, you were able to take that away as like, well, you know what? I got a really good through line, and like I could go back and reread this because I'm invested in Sonic and Robotnik's thing here.
Exactly.
So the heart of the story works for you, basically.
I would say so. Yeah. Like I think if I were to give it like a number, I don't know. Is seven feels too high? Because here's because like there are definitely parts of it where it's like, okay, let's just get through it. But like that, I will say, like I said, I read this like this morning, and I was, I kept turning the page. Like there was never a time where I was like, oh god, like the gag stuff was a lot more painful than to get through than this was for me. Like there was a lot more like, okay, just get through the thing. I 6.5.
By the way, I'll also say a perspective that you would definitely be lacking. Is that like you didn't have to sit through the Sally miniseries where Sally is the main character, but it's actually Jeffrey. You didn't have to sit through multiple issues of Jeffrey just showing up, and like you like for example, in this story, you actually you really enjoyed Sonic and Jeffrey's fighting. And I maybe would be able to agree with you in the idea of like Jeffrey sucks, so I want to see Sonic fight him. But the problem is that I've read a bunch of issues where Sonic fights Jeffrey anyway. And so this is just, oh my gosh, they're fucking fighting again. I don't care. Like, imagine like what they do in the camp issue where like he just comes up and he's like, your uncle's a traitor. And he's like, he's not a traitor. He's like, he definitely is. And then Sonic punches him. He's like, well, time to die. And then Sally goes, I don't know, Jeffrey. I just feel like, everyone has different sides. Imagine that. But we did that like 5 other times before Endgame. So for me, my tolerance for Jeffrey is at 0.
That's fair. That's fair. And I think also some context is that like I am a comic book reader and you are not. Like I am a lot more used to like I said, like this was more or less my first Sonic story, and it is the finale. Now granted, obviously I had context from Saturday AM. Like it wasn't like I was completely lost. Like I knew the basics of who most of these characters were. Like but but like so, and like a lot of the bullshit or a lot of the stuff where it's like, oh, I don't know, well, whatever. Like I'm used to just like if I'm reading a comic and I don't know a thing, just going like, okay, I guess that this, that, and the other. Like, so like a lot of it is just like me filling in the gaps in my head where it's like, oh, I guess Jeffrey sucks, whatever. Like, so yeah, no, like here's the thing, like you can understand why I like it, I can absolutely understand disliking it. So yeah, and I think that I think the Sonic fandom could learn something from this today. They won't, but they could.
But they could. That's always the hope in life. Like that's kind of the idea for it, is just that, especially like when you watch that video Low Art and I did, like it's not just like Endgame is bad on its own. It's bad to us because it degrades the thing that we were invested in. It says, you like the freedom fighters? Fuck you. It's about these guys now. You didn't like Jeffrey? Fuck you. The whole B story is about Jeffrey chasing Sonic. You wanted to get invested? Fuck you. The dragon says it's over. Too bad. All that kind of stuff. And so it doesn't just feel like, oh, the foundation for the arc is shaky. Or no, more like the execution is shaking, but the foundation is good. It feels like no, the Foundation's also awful because I didn't just like Sonic and Robotnik. I liked Sally, or I at least wanted to like Sally. I liked Bunny and Antoine. I liked Tails. Tails does not do anything. So, you know, you want to see those characters. And so when you come into the arc and they're like, who's the traitor? Here's Jeffrey. Here's Antoine, and he's a bit different now. Then you know, us as readers, we're like, well, that's not what I was invested in. Whereas for you, you come in and you're just like, well, you know, I'll just kind of take it in strides because the core of what I like is here, which makes sense.
Yeah. But alrighty, I think we're our 2-hour episode's going to be the norm now that we're in pre-boot.
Yeah, there's stuff to talk about.
there is. But you know what? I'm here for it. And hopefully our listeners are too.
Yeah, no, this is a really good discussion. I think it's one of our better ones.
Oh, absolutely.
It's always good when we argue.
Oh, certainly. What the problem is, I think we agree too much on like the other arcs. I'm gonna have to. How do you feel about Sonic Adventure 2.5?
I really like it.
Fuck. All right, we'll figure it out. We'll figure something else out to argue about. Maybe, you know what? Maybe when we do our annual IDW thing, maybe I'll have done a complete 180 on IDW. We'll argue with that. I don't know.
You'll just like cope so hard into liking it, so you have something to argue with me about.
Exactly.
I don't know. You'll just play devil's advocate for it.
Yeah, I think our last IDW discussion of us just shitting on it for like 2 hours was pretty fun though. So we'll see.
Oh, yeah,
but
it's
anyway.
not like the other discussions are bad. It's just that I think like it's probably like the most fun when it's like, ooh, they're going at each other.
Oh, certainly. But it's all in good fun. But all right, Ian, you wanna plug your stuff before we juice and jam out of here?
Yes. So I'm Ian Waffles. You can find me on YouTube and Twitter under the same name. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you for having me as usual. It's always a pleasure.
Of course. I'm SilverAce01. You can find me here. You can find me on Twitter at SilverAce01. I tweet sometimes. I mostly retweet like cool art and stuff, but sometimes I like quote tweet something, so you can follow me. But all right, well, we will be back next time with what's the arc after home called? Is that Battle for Angel Island? Are we there yet?
No, I think next is like a little Tommy Turtle arc. So
oh fuck. Well,
get excited, boys and girls.
Come back for that then, I guess. But until then, take care, everyone.
Bye.